and welcome to one special podcast with Maverick Games and SpecialEffect. I'm Mike Brown, Creative Director at Maverick Games, and joining us today is...
Liam Lawler, Partnerships Coordinator at SpecialEffect.
Andy Baranowski, Content Curator at Maverick Games.
And Mark Saville, the Communication Support at SpecialEffect.
Awesome. What a great team it is to have on the pod today. As always, let's start off with talking about what we've been playing. Andy, do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, well, thanks to your very generous 3-month gift, you got me a new Xbox. So I donated my old Xbox One. It's still going strong, to my girlfriend, and we've been running through Hogwarts Legacy together. She's a completely new gamer, and it's been a real experience trying to keep my hands like sort of off the controller as much as possible and guide her through. But like, she's obsessed with the world of Harry Potter, and have to admit, I kind of like the films as well, you know. So
it's her first proper game.
Yeah. So watching someone that's really, green to gaming, and like the panic of the controller prompts tutorials and stuff, and like trying to hand the controller over to me, and I'm like, no, you've got to learn one way or another. But it's been fantastic, and she's absolutely loving it. We're a good few hours.
Where did the sorting hat put you?
She's a Gryffindor.
Oh, very cool.
I'm a Hufflepuff.
You are such a Hufflepuff, Andy. I was really hoping you'd say that. That is like, yeah. I know it's not the cool one, but it is a really great match for your absolutely wholesome and heartwarming personality. You are a really good friend, and that is what Hufflepuff's all about.
I've embraced it. I'm a tease with being a Hufflepuff, so it's all good.
There are better ways in when they get mentioned, Hufflepuff, and at one point, I think in one of the books, it's like, and all the rest. The brave, the smart, the cunning, and everyone else.
The friends.
I've got no objection to that, which is the most Hufflepuff thing ever.
Exactly. Amenable.
Liam, what have you been playing?
Recently been playing a bit of Spider-Man 2. Obviously, speaks for itself. Massive franchise, great games. I think my favourite thing about playing Spider-Man 2 recently is like the little nods to like Marvel as a whole. So when you go past, you're like flying through a very New York, and then you see like the Avengers Tower or the Sanctum Sanctorum, whatever. I'm not entirely sure I've got that right, but those little nods that are quite sweet when you're just kind of very New York, Avengers, very New York, very Marvel, and then you get those. I mean, who doesn't want to be Spider-Man as well? I mean, so.
Yeah. We have spoken about Spider-Man on the pod before, but I think it does have probably the best moveset and locomotion in any game. I think just moving around the world in that game is probably more fun than any other.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And then you have to go to Coney Island and walk around for like 40 minutes, which was a slight dip in pace for the game there.
Yeah, I think the MJ sections are a little bit less slow than they were in the original.
Yeah. So. It's more... It feels more like a stealth game with MJ now, and it feels like it's a bit more fully featured. But I will say that the Coney Island bit was really testing my patience. It was, okay, shooting water in the hole, this is what we're doing. And then you've got to be Spider-Man on a roller coaster, and it's like his like day-to-day life is way more exciting than a roller coaster. So I've been playing Palworld, which is currently, as we record this, absolutely blowing up across social media. I think they've had 6 or 7 million players now in 5 days, which is pretty remarkable for an indie game, which is on the face of it and the way they were pitching it, it was a parody game, that they were making it as a bit of a joke to make fun of Pokemon. And there are bits where it gets really close to Pokemon in a way that I am surprised that they appear to be getting away with. But a tick below that, the game is really accomplished. There's like some really, really clever game design implementations in there. They're merging like features and systems that they have lifted from other games, but that isn't simple. Going and saying like, oh, this thing from say Spider-Man, like the gadget upgrade system in Spider-Man, it would be really hard to just go and drop that into Assassin's Creed. Like making the move from one game to another like that would be really, really challenging and a lot of like quite complex game design work. And Palworld seems to be able to just do that. Go, right, we'll have this bit from Fortnite, this bit from Breath of the Wild, this bit from Pokemon, and it all comes together in a way that like is very compelling. It's like I've been playing it absolutely loads, and yeah, crossplay as well, so you can play co-op with the kids. All very good stuff. Yeah.
How can I follow that? Actually, I'm not even going to try and follow that. So nothing too serious recently. I've actually been trying to get the best out of Mario Kart on my phone. There you go, they're from one thing to another. But what's been interesting here as well is we've been setting up a load of different games for demos. It's been really great because you can just wander around the office and there's something going on. You know, from Make Way that we've got going, which is really great to see, to I think one of our guys set up a train simulator the other day. It was fascinating because I'd never looked at that whole world of simulators before. I must admit, it was an hour that passed really quickly. The complexity of the stuff that goes in there, I'd blink at myself too. So it's just wonderful to see that going.
That's it. What journey did you do in your hour? The full.
I think journey. Yeah, I think I've got about 50 feet.
That's about right for national round in the real.
Yeah, there is a real kind of like interesting craft to those games where they have to bring the things that on the face of it are the mundane but come together to create that role play experience of doing what is an actually quite complicated job. I think they're really
I love the real world application of it. I will admit I sunk quite a lot of time into a Euro Truck Simulator. Wow. And I played it and I had my steering wheel and my pedals and everything set out, and then I bought a trailer to tow a vehicle on for my real car. And it came to backing the trailer up for the first time. And I was like, I know how to do this. I've done it on Euro Truck Simulator. And I did it first time.
Really?
Yeah, no issues. And that was a perfect example of how like games, have transferable skills. I thought it's fantastic.
I've played a lot of Goat Simulator as well. So make a pretty convincing goat.
I'm not entirely sure what you're going to be doing there, but...
So if ever you need to strap rockets to yourself and launch yourself off a cliff, just like real goats. Whenever we need a train driver,
I'm here.
No, brilliant.
Okay, so next up, I guess we'll give a little update on the goings on at Maverick Games. Last time we spoke, we just won the Best Place to Work award, didn't we? This time we are just over 1 year since the announce of Maverick Games, and what a year it's been, to be incredibly cliched. We've grown from a very, very, very small indie outfit to what I think now is a pretty well-equipped, well-rounded AAA studio. We've got a really great team, around 51, maybe 52, depending on when this goes out. A team that now covers off all bases, so we have people in every discipline able to go and execute and start actually doing real life video game development. It's been a really, really great year. We've left our concept phase now. For those unaware, concept phase makes it sound like you do a lot of thinking and a lot of like maybe writing things down and some pretty pictures. That absolutely is true. But at the same time, you're really proving out those ideas and proving out those concepts, building some pretty exciting software. And it's always important that in the first things you're building are the bits that hopefully don't exist in other games. And that's the bit that is actually the most exciting when you're trying things out and breaking new ground and proving that those ideas that you had maybe 11 months ago, 12 months ago are actually good and actually fun. And we leave that point now and enter full pre-production where it's turn those things into real things that will actually ship. So go from prototype to real life game that in a short amount of time, soon, players will be able to get their hands on. Andy, do you have any thoughts about the last year?
I think it's been great. Like the momentum is phenomenal, isn't it? Like we're going into this next year and everyone is just so hyped about what we've done so far and what we've got to come, that I think like we've got our Tuesday collaborative day where everyone's in the office and the buzz in the office that day is just great. We've got such an awesome team. Like everyone is so passionate about what they do, and we're at that awesome size of team at the moment where you can just walk around the studio and everyone, you know everyone's names and you're having a chat about what they're doing, and everyone is such a great specialist and ambassador for what they do. It's really it gives you the excitement and the motivation to go on and and do 11 out of 10 work yourself for the rest of that day. So yeah, it's really, really cool at the moment.
Yeah, it risks sounding a little bit spiritualist, but I think really what it comes down to is when you're all in the room and you're excited like that, the vibes, to be very modern about it, it actually just lift everybody. It lifts like everybody's kind of like their well-being, their excitement, their energy. It's a really interesting thing because you can't measure that. That's not a thing that you can like tangibly hold in your hand, but you can feel it when everyone's there kind of on that, especially on Tuesdays where we have like the whole team together. There is just like this energy in the room that's just so exciting. That's us. I promise at some point we'll actually get into real details about what we're doing and not just keep skirting around any specifics. Soon we will talk more. So we are here. We are at SpecialEffect. We should probably talk about you guys. Do you want to give us an intro into who SpecialEffect are, what you do?
Yeah, so SpecialEffect, we help people with the severest physical disabilities to get access to the incredible video games that you guys have been a part of making through the use of accessible technology. And we've been going for about 16 years now, so we've learned an awful lot of information about the different types of disabilities that people can have, the different levels of access that creates, and the changes that causes for people. And we've made sure to utilize all of that information, and we share it worldwide to people through resources for game devs, resources for the players themselves, and ultimately also we have some games that we've made that we've helped to develop that can use some of the knowledge and the learning that we've got into actually practical applications. So yeah, so we accessible technology, that's what we do.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I'm sure Andy will echo this, but like the work that you guys do is just so inspirational. I can't even count the number of times I've watched some of your videos and then cried. It's like, and it is just that heart-touching power. You touch on there, the power of video games. It's like we're all gamers and we all get to experience games every day and live that life. And as a creator, your main driving force is that you want to bring video games to as many people as possible. And I think the work that you guys do is a huge part of that. You just open up that like incredible excitement and freedom that games give people to as many people as possible.
And I think it's that mention of freedom. It's for so many of us that are able-bodied and can play video games and experience something that we don't experience in our everyday today. The people that we help, sometimes those are the experiences that might seem mundane to us. They don't get those experiences in their day-to-day. So, you know, I can put on a pair of football boots and go out and kick a ball around with my son or my brother and stuff and pretend to be David Beckham or Cristiano Ronaldo. But often people that we're helping don't have that luxury and aren't able to get out on a football pitch themselves. So playing FIFA is their only access to that world. And so those games to us that seem like something very simple and, you know, why would we play that? Because it's our everyday life. But actually, those experiences are the only opportunity they have to feel what that feels like.
Yeah, I think we're well positioned to appreciate the importance of immersion and inclusion and all of these things, like how important it is, like the escapism of playing games and being able to play with your friends and everything like that. And that's something that always makes the work that you do feel so special. Like the fact that anybody is given this opportunity to play on a level playing field with their friends and forget about any problems they might be having, you know, any difficulties, and just enjoy games the way that, you know, we're very fortunate to be able to do so easily. So it's really spectacular.
What's been really humbling for us as well, talking to our specialist therapists who see the people that we help, is hearing stories about the people around the people that we're helping and how it's benefited them as well. I remember talking to one mum of one lad who we've helped to play games, who otherwise he couldn't do a lot before then, and being able to play games has given him a social life. It's given him his self-esteem back. It's given him a source of conversation, of banter and stuff like that. And talking to his mum, it's made her proud. It's given her respite, a lot of respite. But what most of all, it was, once he puts those headphones on in the evening and he's talking to his friends online, he's just any other kid. And for me to hear that is just wonderful. And we're hearing sort of little bits from that all the time. I was talking again to another set of parents a couple of weeks ago from a small girl we've had who's got cerebral palsy, who's playing really well her games now, and they were saying that the therapeutic effects of just moving those arms, those repetitive movements. If you gave her an exercise to do, just squeeze this ball, for 10 minutes, none of us can do that. Put her on an adaptive controller where she can actually control something. Brilliant, and they said it is genuinely moving that forward. So there's a whole range of benefits.
Yeah, it is. That's probably true for most people, isn't it? If you actually asked you to just do that with your thumbs for 10 minutes, by about minute 2, you're like, it's really hurting. Somehow when our minds are getting something really rewarding out of it, then suddenly those things that would be straining aren't straining anymore, and our minds are allowed to carry on through it because we're getting that reward at the same time. Yeah, that's actually a fascinating thing. I hadn't thought about that before, but yeah, it's very true. So how did you guys come to work at SpecialEffect?
I've kind of known Dr. Mick Donegan, our CEO, for a long time, many years. I used to work with him at a charity beforehand, as actually 3 or 4 of the employees did here, and it was great to be given the chance to sort of help out in the early days when there were about 4 or 5 of us, and it was very much sort of fly by the seat of your pants stuff. And just to see over those years, take that journey with him and see the charity grow to what it is today, it's unbelievable. I still do physically pinch myself sometimes thinking, wow, it's okay.
On the other hand, I got to benefit from all of that hard work that they did in those early days. I mean, I've been with the charity for about 5 years now, and I moved to the area around that time and was just looking for a job and came across SpecialEffect and thought, wow, like what an incredible organisation. And I applied for a very, very different job and started doing that, and I joined the team as an administrator and just fell in love with everything that we do here, and just said I think I can maybe do more in a different role, and fortunately the team agreed, and I've sort of been working with the fundraising and comms team for a little while now. So yeah, just a really weirdly organic way, found out about a job that was going and joined, and just fell in love from that point onwards. But at the point when the charity already had amazing friends like you guys, and we had to enjoy all of that.
I've got a great image of you like leaving the big city with your going out to.
Yeah, but the only thing in the pack was a PlayStation.
About to turn up here in the Cotswolds and leave the city behind and go and help out kids.
Exactly.
And you mentioned fundraising. I guess that tees up Andy if you want to talk about some of the cool stuff you've done in the past.
You and I have had some great times, haven't we, over the years? Very fortunate the previous time at Playground to be involved in some amazing fundraising events that they backed, and looking forward to, as Maverick, carrying that on forwards. I was very, very strict when I joined you guys. I said to H, who's also one of your ambassadors, he sadly was unwell today and couldn't join us. I said, like, please, can we carry on working with you guys? Because it's been so inspirational watching the films that Mike said. Absolutely, makes you bawl every single time you see it, because it's just so incredible, the life changing that you do. So yeah, we've I scared the life out of Liam last year driving around Donington Park. In
such a calm way, scared me to pieces, but was just like, I'm terrified, but he does seem in control. He seems confident about what's happening here. So
you have to tell yourself that, or you'd go into a full panic attack as Andy drives like you're inside a blender.
It was the use of the phrase, we've got a bit of track here, so we're going to make use of it. Drifting round a corner at full speed.
As well. It was proper.
Yeah, it was really nice. Like
for a moment, I was in Tokyo Drift. I was living my dream. But, yeah, that's it. So
yeah. I've also seen you lacing up your football boots as well. So we'll talk more about the driving if you want.
no, I mean, what incredible opportunities they were. Like working with you guys and helping raise some money to do what you do has enabled me to play on the England training pitch, which is just bizarre because it was absolutely massive and I was absolutely done in after about 5 minutes, and I realised I had another 8.5 to go.
But, 5 minutes in, asking me if it's half time yet. It's like just looking at the oranges and be like, soon.
So yeah, it's like it's had. I've lived some experiences that I'll absolutely never forget, and they've had such a positive, outcome in getting to do these things. So yeah, incredibly grateful to those that organise these things, and yeah, we're looking forward to hopefully backing some things in the future and getting.
I guess we'll have a little bit more about that in a few moments' time.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to say, if you like the sound of all the work that SpecialEffect are doing, you can head over to their website at specialeffect.org.uk to donate. They would really appreciate any help and support that you can give. Now back to the podcast.
So what is some of the work that SpecialEffect has done that you're most proud of?
It's funny. I went through to some of the specialist occupational therapists this morning, and I had your piece of paper. I said, oh, by the way, if I said what are you most proud of? Who have you worked with that you're most proud of? And they looked at me, and one of them just said in a small voice, well, all of them. and I thought, yeah, because there's just to enable that kind of positivity is just wonderful. And it's tough sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't happen first time. Sometimes it takes a long time to get somebody played. Sometimes expectations you have to manage. So sometimes the technology works and doesn't work, and then something comes along that's new and that doesn't work. And things change. So it's a constant challenge, and I think one of the things that we get a lot out of is that we can work with people over a lifetime of gaming, their whole gaming journey, that we can see somebody start their gaming journey just with a couple of buttons, a couple of switches where they're young. And then as they grow and their abilities change, we can take them forward to greater heights. We worked with a guy recently who we set up with, he's got motor neuron disease. He's just using his eyes now. And one of the guys has set him up to play Civ 4, I think, just with his eyes. It's just incredible to watch. I was standing there with my mouth open. So you can't really put a finger on any particular point. It's just been an amazing experience. Every day is different.
I think for us as well, in the communications and fundraising side of things, we tell the stories of our service users so often, and we really get to know them, but for our side of things, we don't meet them in person an awful lot. So whenever you meet them in person, you get this real, almost like rock star thing. You're like, oh my God, it's so great to see you. There's a young lad that we helped, whose story we shared a little bit before Christmas, called Tiago, who we've helped for a very, very long time. As Mark was saying, it's a lifetime thing. So we've been helping him since he was about 5 or 6 years old. And he's now getting into game development. And so for us, it's such a fantastic story for us to experience, but also to be able to share, that we then met him at one of our events, and I ran over and I was like, Tiago, man, nice to see you. And he looked at his family and he was like, who's this guy? But I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I've loved telling your story, and people are always so pleased to hear it that I feel like I know you. and then he looked at his phone and he's like, oh wow, that's so cool. But for me, it was just that buzz of meeting those people, that we see them and you hear those stories, and being able to meet someone who has benefited from our work, not just to be able to play games, but then has been inspired by that to go and hopefully in the future go out and make some really cool games. That's something that I'm so proud of. I love being just a small part of that.
That's it. how much games mean to us all, right?
Yeah.
Yes. I think it is the work that SpecialEffect have done to raise that awareness that had caused a paradigm shift, certainly in me a few years ago, where when in a position like mine, where you were involved in scoping out a project and you have however many thousand developer days with which to go and build the thing, and you have to prioritize all of the different things you'd like to have in the game. And at the bottom of that list is all the stuff that is either in or out, and it's at the very kind of limit of what's going to be in or not. And you incorrectly, I think a lot of developers do this, and I've been guilty of this, where you prioritize the feature that will affect the most players. And so it might be a new multiplayer feature, and but like 15% of players will play that. So that's a lot of people. We should put that one in. And the things that are always below that line are all the accessibility features, because you're going, well, that's only for a very small number of players. We shipped the game in the past that didn't even have subtitles because subtitles were below that line, and which is incredible now to think about that a big AAA game would do that, but it wasn't that long ago. And it was that shift that actually, the difference isn't that will X amount of players play this multiplayer mode, it's that the stuff below that is it's binary. It's like they can play the game or they cannot play the game at all. And I think that it's the work that you guys did that highlighted that, where it's, for a lot of people, games are an impossibility for them. They can't play them. But as developers, the more that we can open up those accessibility settings, you're not opening up a little bit more game for a lot of players, you're opening up the whole game for some players that would otherwise not be able to play either your game or any games at all. And I think that is the real power of what you guys do, both in terms of the work that you do, the literal, actual things that you guys make that allow people to play, but also in the messaging that inspires game developers to build their games in different ways. And that applies to the platform holders as well, right? Because we've seen with the accessibility controllers from Xbox, has been out for a little while. The PlayStation one's just come out again, just launched recently. How's that changed the work for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say it's certainly made the work. Excuse me. It's made the work for our therapists a lot easier, I think, in some respects, because before that, if they were faced with sort of a complex setup, they had to create with a lot of switches and joysticks to plug in a particular console or something which wouldn't quite work. They'd have to use various interface boxes in between and make it all work to try and fool other bits into working. To have those kind of proprietary things now in place where you can just plug them in and you've got the software to back them up, which gives extra features as well. It makes our job, at that stage of our job, a lot easier. It means what we can do is we can concentrate a lot more on the physicality of, now hang on, and which particular switch will work. We're dealing with people with tiny millimeters of movement here, so we have to be very specific about body positions, switch types, forces, things like that, let alone environmental factors like light, glasses, hang on, you've got a different carer, can they set up a machine? You've got all these factors involved. To have these new devices come in, it just makes that part of the job just a little easier, and we can devote more time on the rest of it. You were talking about the game development stuff earlier. I think what we like to be seen as is more of a catalyst for change. I mean, we've got our dev kit on the website, which developers can use, which just show concrete examples of great accessibility and how they benefit people. So I suppose our advice to you would just be, look at great examples of where accessibility in games has been so good and just follow those. That's a great start. We're here to help because there is an increasingly more and more good examples coming out.
Yeah, I think it's great as well that you're starting to see different award shows focus on it as well. The Game Awards obviously being the big one, but I think that is that other, beyond the kind of opening up the audience, the kind of well-being thing that we as people like your charity and people like developers like us get out of it. Getting a trophy on the shelf is also quite nice, and I think it's really nice that Jeff Keighley over at the Game Awards and a few others as well have started to recognise that. It is always the category that I kind of like go to first, actually, in the Game Awards, because I think I tend to learn things from it, because often there'll be games in there that I've perhaps perhaps not had that much awareness of it. Obviously, Forza Motorsport won this year, which I was aware of, and the work they did there was absolutely incredible. But the other games in there as well, I think it really shines a light on the work that people are doing there, which I think is also fantastic. Yeah.
I think accessibility has just become a mainstream topic that people have to consider, and it's all about that lasting change rather than, the worst thing it could be is a flash in the pan, and people introduce a few settings to shut everyone up, and then they never get carried on. But like a few good settings that can help a lot of people that you can keep into the next title, which maybe you might add another one, and then those sorts of changes are so much more important and so much more affecting than just going, oh, okay, we came up with a bunch of these like gimmicky ideas, and we probably won't keep them for the next one because it won't work. But it's a thing that has to last. It carries on, and it endures into the next thing and the next project. And you think it becomes an easy thing. It's like, oh, that's already in the game. And you kind of almost start to forget that it's accessibility. Like you mentioned subtitles. I think probably 40 to 50% of the people I speak to wouldn't even think of subtitles as an accessibility thing. It's just something that everyone has. And you think, well, actually, if you don't have it, some people can't use it, so it makes it accessible. And that's it's just one of those things that once it becomes common knowledge that goes into a game, it stops being a, do we do it or not? It's already in there. It's just there.
Yeah, I mean, that is I think a truism of all game franchises. Once new features are in and people are using them, they're in forever. every sequel has to have them, and that just becomes a price that the developers have to pay forevermore. I guess then, obviously, we are Maverick Games. You can direct this at us. A lot of other developers do also watch our pod. In fact, it's much more game developers watch us than gamers. So your audience is mostly game developers. But what is your advice or your philosophies that you would say to people like us as we're building our games to build for accessibility?
I think probably, just as I said, is look at good examples of how it's been done before. And I mean, there are some quotable ones, like, for example, button mashing. There are so many people who simply can't button mash for all kinds of reasons, whether it's a permanent disability or whether you just cut your finger on a knife slicing onions in the kitchen. So getting that sort of stuff in, and then is a great start.
Great.
And I think for me, it's if I can't do this, have I lost the spirit of the game? Like, you guys make games for an experience, and it's saying, if I couldn't do this part, have I lost the soul of the game? Or could it be done in a different way that I can still experience the soul of the game and have that experience without necessarily having to have that? Like, for example, Mark mentions quick time events. You can still have that incredible cinematic experience if you just hold the button down. Or if you skip having to press that button at all, you still can have that amazing experience and then carry on the rest of the game. Because, you're still getting what the developer intended for you to get out of it. You just you didn't do that one thing you couldn't do. That would be my...
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting example, right? Because it's in so many games, that like rapid button tap. And I'm going to get my gaming history wrong, but I think it was Daley Thompson's Decathlon was the first game to do it. If not, it might have been International Track and Field, something like that. But anyway, it was introduced in a game that was trying to simulate the Olympics, and they were trying to actually simulate having a real physical effect on you to try and tire you out. You're pressing that button as fast as you can, or wiggling the joystick. I think it was in Daley Thompson. That mechanic was created to simulate, to tire you out, to make it a real physical impact, to make it actually hard to do, like Daley Thompson. and if that's true, then it's obviously going to be hard to do. It's obviously it's very obviously going to exclude people, because you've introduced a mechanic that has a real strong physical impact on the player. Obviously, in those games, that would have been with intent, but it then appears in hundreds, if not thousands, of other games where you're not trying to simulate someone taking part in the decathlon. you're simulating, in The Last of Us or something like that, where it's not actually critical, but they have it there as a probably for variety more than anything, which is not going to impact the soul of the game, to your point. It's really...
My final thing that I would always say to developers is just carry on making amazing games, because there's so much that we can do from the other side of things that we absolutely, we love that you guys have the best intentions, and certainly from our perspective, we always get those questions of what can we do more, because we want to do more, but we could not do anything that we do without amazing games that are made. So make amazing games that people want to play, and if there's anything that people can't handle, we'll do our best to cover the rest.
All right, make amazing games. Got it.
Yeah, it's nice. It's such a two-way street as well now. The collaboration between us, the people that you're helping, like you mentioned, Tiago, and looking to become a game developer, having that, the consultancy of people like that, and working with it means that we can do a better job. Means that you can do a better job as well, and we can all just keep doing what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I noticed one of the consultants we'd used previously, Cameron Akit, who visited us when we were at Playground. He was the consultant who led to us doing the sign language implementation. He is now a full-time accessibility consultant at PlayStation. And it was off the back of that he's then been able to go and get himself that full-time job in the industry, which I think is awesome as well, because he was, again, completely changed the way that we were thinking about accessibility for that game. So, yeah. Cool. Anything else going on that Special Effect needs to talk about? Anything coming up?
Yeah, well, I think the next big thing for us is Game Blast, our Game Blast fundraising weekend. It's huge. If you haven't heard of it, big weekend where we just ask gaming communities from around the world just to play games and raise money and have a great time to help us. Gameblast.org.uk. 23rd to 25th of February, and sign-ups are open as of last week. So come along, stream, have a great time playing your favourite games, and raise a bit of money for other people who would also love to enjoy your favourite games as well. Make it happen.
All right. Anything else? Andy, do you want to tee up a little event that we might be sponsoring?
Oh, right, yes. So anyone that has met me before might know that I quite like driving, maybe a little bit into it, and might be quite competitive. So when the opportunity came up to take part in the SpecialEffect Karting Grand Prix, we were absolutely yes please. So put it in front of Mike and H and the team, and very, very proud to announce that we are the headline sponsor for the event. So yeah, if you want to beat Maverick Games, then come join in the action. It's Wilton Mill. Is it I can't remember. Is it 7th of March?
7th of March.
7th of March. Yeah. So get yourself signed up and come and race for a fantastic cause.
Yeah, and you can't win. We are going to win, but you can come along and join in.
There's other very fun things to do as well.
Taking part is almost as much fun as winning, and you can definitely do that. So.
Yeah, so incredibly excited for that. You're going to have to drag me out of the go-karts, kicking and screaming at the end of the day. So yeah, it's going to be awesome.
All right. Well, I think that's us. That's about all we have time for today. So thank you very much for tuning in. You'll see us again on the Maverick Games podcast very, very soon. All right. Bye-bye.
Whoa, stop the music. If you haven't already donated, head over to SpecialEffect.org.uk to donate. Okay, now you can start the music.